Hey, welcome back to the Cardsmiths. Max here, and today we've got some more Legend of the Five Rings LCG content for you. And today it's going to be something a little different. It's going to be taking a look at the updated rules reference and Imperial law that just dropped for the game on December 18th, 2020. So just at the moment this video is being filmed 2 days ago. So yeah, this is something a little different. This is going to be geared more towards players who are interested in competitive play. But if you are just playing casually at the kitchen table at home, I still recommend having a look at the rules reference and the Imperial law document because they are designed to address the balance of the game. So if you're a bit more of a casual player, if you are interested, I would recommend having a look at those, and they'll just help you have more balanced games even at home if there's certain unhealthy card interactions. Yeah, this is a rules reference and Imperial law update that's been clamored for by the L5R competitive community for some time now, and this was released to address the power level of namely two clans, and that's the Crane clan and the Scorpion clan. So through the Dominion cycle, clans like Scorpion and Crane got some really exceedingly powerful cards, and so by the end of the Dominion cycle, and then now into the beginning of the Temptation cycle, which is the game's fifth cycle here, the power level of those two clans has just far eclipsed all the other clans, and something had to be done to address this. So that's what this rules document, this rules reference and Imperial law update has been designed to do. So first, we're gonna have a look at the Scorpion changes here, and the first one in the document is the change to their core set stronghold, the City of the Open Hand, and that's just where we'll begin. So the City of the Open Hand, for those who have played the game throughout its history, or even those just, it is a bit more subtle. So it'll largely be for those who have played the game throughout its history, or those who are playing competitively are well aware of the power level of this stronghold. So that's the updated version there. But essentially, the stronghold, if you were less honorable than an opponent, you could bow your stronghold and take an honor from that opponent. And essentially what this did was it allowed the Scorpion player to really... It made it a lot easier for the Scorpion player to dishonor their opponent than it should have been. And it was simply too powerful, because what it did was it created a situation where the Scorpion player was able to consistently bring their honor total to that lower than their opponent, and then it allowed them to steal honor from their opponent. So this put the opponent in a position of inevitable honor loss. And the Scorpion player would do this with cards like Assassination, other cards where they're dishonoring their own characters, like Forged Edict, and they had a number of ways to get their honor total lower than their opponent, so then they could consistently trigger the City of the Open Hand, steal an honor from their opponent, and just drag their opponent's honor total down to 0. The deck would always be played with 3 backhanded compliments as well, so that was a card that your opponent loses an honor but gets to draw a card, but the card draw, unless is an event cancel, won't be impactful if you're playing backhanded compliments as the last honor loss that opponent's gonna face. So what often happened is, even if you got down to like 5 honor left against a Scorpion player, if they're able to get lower than you, which shouldn't be too difficult with like 3 copies of Assassination, those other effects we talked about, they were able to just get their honor total to lower than you, bring your honor down. They could trigger their stronghold. Then if they had some other way to make you lose an honor, erring, unopposed challenge, dishonoring one of your characters and then it leaving play, which they had a plethora of ways to do, or have a plethora of ways to do. Then they could play 2-3 backhanded compliments, and that's game over. And they could do this so effectively with the City of the Open Hand that something had to be done to address this, because it just, especially with the release of the Sinister Pacemaker, which isn't listed in the article here, but that's a card, a cheap, I believe, 1-cost courtier that just came out in the first pack of the Temptation cycle, I believe, and that is that when your opponent gains an honor, they lose an honor. So even if you're fighting back to get honor, you're losing honor. If they have 2 of those out and you gain an honor, you're actually going to lose 2. So you've actually lost honor by trying to gain it. All these effects just accumulated into a really almost sense of inevitable honor loss. So, and yeah, the alternative is if you don't play to that and you bid 1 on your dial every turn from the start of the game, the Scorpion player is going to get such a significant card advantage that they're going to have all their dishonor effects in their hand, their 4 shames, their way of the Scorpion, and there's just so many ways. Alibi Artist is another one where once they get down to below 6, which is, they're fine with that anyway. City of the Open Hand, if they get even lower than that, they can bring themselves back up close to 6. They're filtering their deck. They're getting card draw out of that, and it's such an efficient package. So really, where I'm going with all this is that this has been, well, it's been nerfed really hard, and now it just reads, action, if you are less honorable than opponent, bow this stronghold, gain 1 honor. So what the stronghold is doing now is preventing you as the Scorpion player from an honor loss. Well, not preventing, but helping you against an honor loss. And it's not creating that inevitable steal an honor from your opponent like every turn. So this is a really significant nerf to the stronghold. This was an extremely powerful stronghold, especially with the release of the Sinister Pacemaker. It just created such a sense of inevitability towards an honor loss in a lot of games, playing against City of the Open Hand, and it definitely could be beat, but it was really powerful, and it could be beaten. And it's interesting that, given the rise of Kyuden Bayushi, which is the stronghold which the Scorpion clan received in their clan pack, that stronghold, because City of the Open Hand has been on the restricted list, has actually been seeing, I would argue, more competitive play. Both strongholds are really strong, maybe even like 50-50. So it's interesting, this City of the Open Hand, it has been nerfed significantly. I think that it's good they did. What I will say, though, is that now I think that Kyuden Bayushi is just going to see the vast majority of competitive play for the Scorpion Stronghold competitive players use moving forward. Because I think Kyuden Bayushi is stronger than the updated Errata City of the Open Hand here. So I foresee it just being the vast majority of competitive Scorpion decks running Kyuden Bayushi now. Now that with the change, and because it's been errated to new text, City of the Open Hand has been removed from the Stronghold restricted list. So now that Kyuden Bayushi and City of the Open Hand, now that neither of them are on the restricted list, I foresee Kyuden Bayushi seeing the vast majority of play, given it was already seeing a fairly similar amount of play as it was prior to this change. So City of the Open Hand, exceptionally strong. It created situations that there was just a sense of inevitability towards an honor loss. And I'm happy with the change. I think the potential issue is that now it's just gonna, as a Scorpion player, it's gonna be all Kyuden Bayushi decks, and that is my concern with that change, I guess. But it's hard to say because City of the Open Hand was just so powerful that I'm glad that it was nerfed. Anyway, we'll continue on with the other changes that were made to the Scorpion clan, and to address their too great of power level. And the next one we'll look at is Stoke Insurrection. So this is arguably the most maligned card of the Dominion cycle, and this, for a lot of people, this card was the biggest offender. This card was really frustrating for most people. Found this card really frustrating to play against. If you're running a deck with lots of high cost characters, it could be so devastating, and it could swing a game, swing a battle so significantly that this card was single-handedly deciding in lots of games. So that needed to be addressed. What Stoke Insurrection is that it's a card that says reduce the cost to play this card by 2 if your opponent has 4 or more face-down cards in their provinces. This card could be used in conjunction with the 4-cost Scorpion character, the Governor's Spy, which has an ability that can turn all of an opponent's cards face down and rearrange them. So in conjunction with that card, this card could be played for 2. And for 2, what it was doing was, during a conflict, reveal each face-down card in your opponent's provinces, then put up to 2 characters with total printing cost 6 or lower from their provinces. Oh, sorry. That 6 or lower was not there before. Then put up to 2 characters from their provinces into play in the conflict under your control. There was not that 6 or over cap. This is the updated errata card here. And without that cap, it was completely obscene. You could have games where Stoke Insurrection is pulling a 5-cost character and a 4-cost character, or potentially 2 5-cost characters. That would be really the most extreme case. But even if you're pulling a 5-cost character and a 3-cost character, that's just absurd that you're getting that kind of value in a conflict for the cost of 2 if you are playing it for 2, which Stoke often was played for 2. And even if it wasn't, that's a huge amount of value. You're getting the abilities on those characters for the conflict. You're getting the strength that they offer. Another thing that's worth talking about is that if you were running any kind of cards in your deck that could add fate to characters, you actually had a way of keeping your opponent's expensive characters that you pulled into a conflict with Stoke in play for the following turn, and getting even more value and more utility out of these characters. Cards like Make Your Case come to mind. Make Your Case probably being the best example. But if they had a way, and like I had a game where my 5-cost monk Tadagashi Mitsu was taken with Stoke, and then I think it was a Make Your Case that they played, and it was the Mitsu version 2 who has 5 political strength. They won whatever that political duel was, or whoever that political duel was with, added a fate to him, had the Mitsu for the next turn, and you're just getting the Scorpion player is just getting such insane value out of this card. And really, in L5R, like, when it could swing a conflict so significantly, that could decide games. And so this card, much maligned by all those who having it played against them. It was seeing play as a splash because it's just so powerful, even at the cost of 3 influence. But Scorpion in clan, without even the added cost of spending influence on the card, and the combination we mentioned with Governor's Spy, it was so powerful. So what they've done is they've slapped a cap on what you can bring into play, and that's right here with total printing cost 6 or lower. So now you can't grab a 5-cost character and a 3-cost character. You could grab a 5 and a 1, 2 3s, a 4 and a 2, I mean, it could be lower. Maybe the numbers add up to it being a 3 and a 2 and it's 5 and that's what you get. But there's a cap on the power level of this card, which I think is necessary. You shouldn't be able to bring such two expensive characters into play in a conflict for the cost of 2. And that the cap on this card is the cap on the power level of this card is simply necessary. It has to be there. This is a necessary change. I'm really happy the change was made. I'm glad that they errated this card and that it wasn't just immediate. This card came out recently in the last cycle, so I'm glad it wasn't just thrown onto the banned list. I prefer the errata here because I think it's a really flavorful card. The art's incredible. The theme is really strong. It's such a Scorpion type of effect, and I think like I'm a big fan of everything that it's doing, but it was just way too powerful, and it shouldn't be warping games in the way that it was. So with the errata here and the cap on its cost, I think that's great. I think the card is still really powerful, but it will see less play now. It's not as likely to be splashed, I would definitely say, at the cost of 3 influence. And yeah, I think that's a great change. You could still get like 2-3 cost characters, but I think like it's still good. But I'm really happy they made that change. So another change is actually that Forged Edict, the 0. We'll pull the card up here if we can find it. Here we go. So Forged Edict, this 0 cost event from the core set, so most players are going to be familiar with this event. Competitive players are definitely going to be familiar with this event. And it's a 0 cost Scorpion event, Forged Edict. When the effects of an event would initiate dishonor a friendly courtier character, cancel those effects. Scorpion has such a wealth of cheap courtiers, like 1 cost courtiers that are really powerful and see a lot of play, that the caveat of dishonoring like your 1 cost character and then canceling an opponent's event for 0 fate is so powerful. And this card was on, as we'll have a look at here, was on the restricted list, and this also was a big reason why Kyuden Bayushi was seeing so much play, is that it let you run this card because City of the Open Hand was taking up your restricted list slot, and if you ran Kyuden Bayushi or Seven Stings Keep, you could take Forged Edict as your restricted card. But the problem was that Forged Edict was so almost unanimously being taken as the Scorpion player's restricted card if they were running Kyuden Bayushi, because if City of the Open Hand, that would have been their choice as restricted card. But it was just so unanimously being taken. The other cards on the restricted list weren't being really seen in Scorpion decks because that card is so powerful. A really good example is Fate Worse Than Death. In all the games of L5R I've played, I've still yet to see that card played, I believe, because like a 0 cost event cancel is just so efficient, as good as a Fate Worse Than Death is, and a Fate Worse Than Death seems a really good card to me. So, and yeah, I've played a lot of games, and to have not seen that card played, you're gonna see, or you were gonna seeing Forged Edict played all the time, and Forged Edict has found its way onto the ban list for the Stronghold format. So, this is another change that I'm really happy with, and we're gonna look at Forgery here. And Forgery was a card that was given to Scorpion in the Dominion cycle, and it's another event cancel in the repertoire. I do think it makes sense that Scorpion is the clan with the event cancels. It's very thematic and fitting what the theme of the clan and what they're doing. But that being said, with access to 3 copies of Forgery, 3 copies of Forged Edict, 3 copies of Censure, they could essentially cancel all the relevant events their opponent played in a game. Most of these would consistently be online. For Forged Edict, the cost of dishonoring a friendly courtier character, well, there's going to be like a Bayushi manipulator out, there's going to be the pacemaker, there's going to be that cost is not difficult for the Scorpion player to fulfill whatsoever. Forgery has the caveat that you must be less honorable than the player initiating those effects. Again, for Scorpion, that's not difficult at all. They can play assassinations. They have effects which dishonor their own characters. And it's not difficult for the Scorpion player to have less honor than their opponent if they want to. And they often will, until comes the time where they maybe dishonor their opponent out. So, with Censure having the caveat of having Imperial favor, Scorpion's really good at claiming the Imperial favor, partly because they're just so strong as a clan that they can win lots of rings and get it. They also have decent amounts of glory on their cheap characters, and they can consistently win the Imperial favor. So their Censures will often be online, and they just have the ability to cancel a lot or most of the relevant events their opponent plays, and that can be really devastating to play against if all the stuff you're trying to do is getting canceled. They can really just control games so well. So yeah, Forged Edict has been put on the banned list for that reason. I'm really happy about that. And that is, there's one more change to Scorpion that we'll quickly address, and that's Bayushi Kachiko. So this is a 5-cost character released in the final pack of the Dominion cycle, and again, a much maligned Scorpion card already, even with her recent release. And that is because the efficiency of what she's doing of her card is far too powerful, in that her ability is during political conflicts in which this character is participating, you may play each event in your opponent's conflict discard pile as if it were in your hand. After you play a card this way, remove it from the game. You cannot play more than 3 cards per round this way. If you as long as you use her in a political challenge, which I'm sure you're going to be with her 6 political skill there, like she has good stats, and you're getting the efficiency of 3, well, not even efficient, I wouldn't even call it like efficiency, you're getting 3 extra cards to play per turn. And yeah, like, sure, the first turn, that's not going to be the case, but I'll say in the majority of matchups, I've played the Dragon Monk deck a lot, and she's not great against that, because a lot of the cards can only rely on having a monk character or targeting a monk character to do an effect. But anyway, in a lot of matchups, she will be playing those 3 cards per round, because you're not going to be playing her on the first turn, and she's going to be a mid to late game card that's going to be so powerful that it's giving you 3 extra cards than your opponent, and it's 3 cards without the cost of paying honor for those cards, or without having to bid for those cards, without having to use your Imperial Storehouse, your Alibi Artist. Scorpion has so many other ways of getting cards on top of this that they can accumulate such a massive card advantage. And these 3 cards on the character are so significant. Like 3 cards is an enormous amount. She's going to be able to take the opponent's court games, for shame, let go, any number of powerful events which can be used in a political conflict, events like let go. Even if she takes a Banzai, maybe she prevents herself from having a Void Fist played on her. The 3 cards is just far too powerful. Like, it's and Scorpion was really good at controlling the game early with their cheap characters, accumulating a lot of fate, and then being able to play this with like 3-4 fate, and it just or sorry, Kachiko, she just closes out games, and yeah, those three cards on the card are just way too powerful. It says here in the article, she can play 3 cards per round from outside her controller's hand of cards. Her high cost, well, then it gets into reasons why they thought the card would be alright, but has proven not to be. Or sorry, not they being Tyler Parrott. And yeah, she has been placed on the restricted list, which I think is great. I think was necessary. I think she was too powerful. And with the other suite of tools that Scorpion already has in terms of card draw, this was just putting it over the top, and it was too much. So I'm glad that she's found her way onto the restricted list. Now her card will be played at a much greater cost, as taking up the restricted list slot of the Scorpion player's deck. And I'm really happy with that change. So the other clan, which was the biggest, or which has been the biggest offender in the recent meta, is the Crane clan. And Crane has just been too powerful. So Crane, we'll scroll down here. So it was also in that final pack of the Dominion cycle, the Crane received the Doji Diplomat. And to explain what the power level of the Doji Diplomat, I first need to explain the Crane strategy in case for those unfamiliar. In the competitive L5R, the top Crane deck makes use of the eminent provinces. There are one Suma, where the character they play from that province enters play honored, and City of the Rich Frog. So they'll already have 2 face-up provinces. They'll only have 3 face-down ones. If they play a Doji Diplomat on the first turn, their opponent is going to have to pick one of those 3 face-down provinces to reveal, and the Crane player will have the added benefit of revealing one of their opponent's provinces, which is going to help them determine where to attack. So it even has that benefit on top of it. On top of being a 0-cost character, which is just really strong to have a 0-cost character that's, like, as it is, like being... Anyway, we'll get into why, given the typical first turn they have, but a 0-cost character with this powerful an ability should never have costed 0. And, yeah, so the opponent of the Crane player is going to have to choose one of their provinces to reveal out of the 3 face-down ones, and really, they're just praying that they don't hit the Magistrate Station, and they have a 33% of the time they're gonna guess the one to reveal, and it's gonna be the Magistrate Station. And the Crane player is already gonna have a really powerful and easy to fulfill standing effect online with all their cards, such as Way of the Crane, characters played from Suma. They have so many ways of honoring their characters that then being able to stand their most powerful honored character with the Magistrate Station, get that extra utility from the first turn in 33% of games. God forbid they play another one of these out on the first turn, then you're in a real pickle. And even if they don't hit the Magistrate Station, they might hit the market of Minami Kaze, I believe it's called, and that's gonna bow like the best character they've played, unless it's Phoenix and they've already played Celebrated Renown on their character to honor them, because it'll bow. The Crane player can bow a non-honored character, but they could just play their Doji Diplomat before the Phoenix player has a chance to play Celebrated Renown, so that's not even really a counter at all. Yeah, if they hit the market, that can be devastating. It can really screw up the other person's the other player's first turn. Because L5R is a game of incremental value, if a player wins the first turn, it definitely puts them in a better position to win the game because they can start to leverage the effects of the rings they're winning and whatnot. So, yeah, and the biggest offender, like the market could be really devastating, especially if you played a fairly high cost character on the first turn. But the magistrate station was really devastating when the deck would run this. The top deck would run, or the most common top deck would run the Stronghold Kyuden Kikita, which was a way of honoring characters after they dueled. And there was just like the common first turn was playing Kikita Kaizen with 3 Fate and a Doji Diplomat. You have 1 Fate left over. If you're first player and you pass first, you get another Fate. You go into conflict with 2 characters out, 2 Fate. One of them's a good 3-cost character with 3 Fate on it. You're going to be able to honor Kikita Kaizen with your Stronghold because he has the action ability of dueling. Even if that's you didn't draw Kikita Kaizen and you've played out a Doji Challenger with 3 Fate, maybe you have a way of dueling. You might have a Kikita Dojo or another way to duel with the Doji Challenger. And the Doji Challenger, even if they don't block the Doji Challenger, can pull a character into the conflict, which they can then duel with the Kikita Dojo, honor it, and yeah, they could start building up their tower. The deck used a ton of attachments. They could start throwing all their attachments, building up these big honored military dueling towers who are also really strong at political because the honored was adding to both their skills, both the Doji Challenger and Kikita Kaizen with their 2 glory. That was really powerful. Well, it was extremely powerful. It was problematic powerful. And another thing which I didn't mention then with the Doji Diplomat is it's revealing another one of your provinces. So if you start with 2 face up, play a Doji Diplomat on the first turn, which is common because you have Rich Frog, you're seeing a lot of cards, especially after the mulligan. You're just making your Wealth of the Crane, which is this 5-cost event here, reduce the cost to play this card by 1 for each face-up province you control, and you can then look at the top 10 cards of your Dynasty deck, put one of those cards into each of your non-stronghold provinces face-up, then shuffle. If you play that Doji Diplomat on the first turn, your Wealth of the Crane already now costs 2, and if you play a second one, it already costs 1. Even if you're Wealth of the Crane on the second or third turn, you're going to be able to pull out so many attachments, so many holdings, which you're going to get value without a cost. You're going to get really powerful effects like from the Esteemed Tea House and the Kikita Dojo here, which you looked at previously. And you're going to get this value without a cost. As you're not paying Fate for this, minus maybe the 1 Fate you played for your Wealth of the Crane, but you're not paying Fate to trigger this ability like on the Esteemed Tea House. You're not paying Honor in terms of that it's a conflict card. It's just an ability in play. You're leveraging value from it, which is going to give you value over your opponent if they're not getting equivalent value from their holdings, which if it's not a Crane mirror match, the odds are they're almost certainly that they're not. It's also definitely worth mentioning that it's adding +2. This Steam Tea House is adding +2 to the province's strength. The Kikita Dojo +1. That's significant when you're getting that onto like a City of the Rich Frog or Suma and making it really difficult to break. It's not uncommon for there to be multiple of these stacked on provinces after the Wealth of the Cranes played because you probably already have some out in play, and it makes it so difficult to break these provinces that are giving the Crane player really powerful effects on top of the control they're giving in terms of the Esteemed Tea House giving the Crane player really powerful attachment control, and the Kikita Dojo being, in my opinion, even more powerful because it's gonna it's gonna, if you win the duel with a duelist, that the duel that it lets military duel, it lets you trigger with a duelist, you can bow the duel's loser. And the Doji Challenger and Kikita Kaizen, as we keep talking about, or as I keep mentioning, are both duelists. So it's ways for win challenges with your tower, and or sorry, ways to duel and like bow. You're gonna break provinces. The deck operates so fast, so efficiently. It's so powerful. Anyone who's been playing competitive L5R has ran up against this deck a lot because it's just so strong, and it needed to be addressed. So the changes are, the Doji Diplomat has been added to the restricted list. I think that's great. I think that this card is definitely undercosted, given its powerful effect and being another body to play on the first turn for 0. And like its powerful effect in conjunction with Wealth of the Crane and Magistrate Station and the Market of Minamikaze, that the card should not have costed 0. It certainly warrants a spot on the restricted list, and which is great. Magistrate Station has straight up been hit with a ban, so along with Forged Edict, this card cannot be played in competitive L5R, even if you're playing casually. I think it's good just to set the card aside. Unless, do what you want. If you're playing casually, the games are yours, and however you're going to have the most fun with them, by all means, go ahead and do that, but it will no longer be seeing any play in competitive L5R, and I think that's great. I'm really happy with that. Magistrate Station was, for me, the biggest offender, honestly. Playing against it was really difficult when they could just get their honored character, or what, like Kikita Kaizen or a Doji Challenger honored, build up their tower. They're using it twice around, if not more, in conjunction with like Gaijin Customs or Common Cause, which is going to be the last thing we're going to talk about here. But yeah, Magistrate Station was a huge offender. I'm personally really happy it's been slapped with the ban. This is going to nerf Crane's power a bit. I think the deck is still going to be strong, but I'm really happy about that. I think it was necessary. I think this is good for the future of the game moving forward. I think that had to be done, and that's great. The last thing that we're going to quickly look at is Common Cause. Common Cause has been added to the restricted list. It's a 0-cost crab card from the Clan War expansion, and it has the action sacrifice a friendly character and choose another character. Ready the chosen character. If that character is controlled by another player, honor it. So this other player thing is just to the multiplayer effect. It did come in the Clan War expansion. For competitive L5R, you ignore that second line, and this card is just bonkers. It's a 0-cost stand effect without the caveat of like a roll restriction, like water roll only or something, which water roll, Crab likes water roll as it is, so that actually wouldn't even really be much of a restriction, but it doesn't even have that. And the cost of sacrificing a friendly character is really negligible. And in fact, when this card is played in a crab deck, which it's going to be 3 of in pretty well every crab deck that I can think of, definitely going to be seen in all the top competitive crab decks. And that sacrifice is not even a cost, because like cards like the Gallant Quartermaster, Yasuki Taka, you're getting good effects for sacrificing characters. So the sacrifice could actually help you get like your fate from your Gallant Quartermaster and then stand up your best character, all for 0 fate. And that's so insanely efficient. It's so powerful. And it's too efficient. That cannot cost 0. And it's simply too good in terms of its comparable cards, which offer standing effects. And on top of that, there's no like restriction to like when it can be played or how it can be played. For example, Gaijin Customs is what I'm thinking of, for another stand effect, that one has like the caveat that you have to control another unicorn card. So there's like a bit of setup required. If it's going to be an attachment if they're splashing Gaijin Customs, which they're going to be splashing Gaijin Customs because Gaijin Customs isn't very good within the Unicorn clan, because it readies a non-unicorn character. So if they throw down like a favored mount on their character, you as your opponent at least have the opportunity to respond to that. If you have attachment control, if you have a Mia Mystic, or if you have a Let Go, you can play that and discard the or play the Let Go, or use your Mia Mystic to discard the like favored mount or hunting falcon or the unicorn attachment they've added, and then they may not be able to play their Gaijin Customs. Like, it offers the opponent it offers the other person an opportunity to do something proactive to prevent the stand from happening. Common Cause actually just giving the crab player a great benefit from it, and even without not niche, because the Gallant Quartermaster is a great card, it's going to be in crab deck, but even without the example of benefits from sacrificing a character, if you are sacrificing a character that has no fate remaining on it and has already been used that turn and is in a bowed state, that's not even a cost, because that character would have just left play at the end of like that turn anyway. So now you're just playing the 0 cost card and standing up your best character for nothing. So it's best in crab, but it's such a strong stand effect, strong and easy to fulfill stand effect, that it was being splashed in most other clans. Lots of other clans. This was a really common splash, and it only had 2 influence. I don't know why that wasn't 3. And for 2 influence, it was an easy splash, and it's so powerful. It's good in any clan, really, and it was just being too widely taken. So they've added it to the restricted list, or Tyler Parrott, he's added it to the restricted list, and I think that is great. I'm really happy with that again. Yeah, I think it was just a card that was too good, too efficient. It was being too commonly splashed amongst most of the other clans. Within crab, it was so obscenely good. I'm really happy it's on the restricted list now. Now it can only be played with the cost of taking up the restricted list spot in the deck. So now there is an actual cost to taking that card, particularly in crab, where you have Iron Mine, Cooney Laboratory, Rebuild, the Keeper Initiate, lots of other really powerful restricted list options that you're going to want to take. I certainly think Common Cause is still going to see play because it's so good, but now there's certainly a cost to that if you can also be taking like your Keeper Initiates, per se. So that sums up all the changes here listed in the article, and let me know what you guys think. If you disagree with anything I said, if you're really happy with all these changes, just feel free to, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm curious what you guys think about these changes. Personally, I'm really happy about them. I think they were necessary. I think Crane and Scorpion needed to be nerfed. Their power level was simply too high. They're both still going to be really strong, really powerful clans. So I'm happy with these changes. So yeah, again, just let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you've been enjoying the L5R content, hit like, hit subscribe. So yeah, that wraps things up. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.